Hello, hello, hello. Buenos, friends. I woke up this morning and was doing my morning rituals, and then this thought came to me. And for the past couple of hours, I've been doing a little bit of research on fluoride and water, and I wanted to talk to you about it. It kind of like goes hand in hand with just being aware, paying attention to what's going on in the life around you, and you being aware of your choices. Most people are just going through life unconsciously. Like your subconscious is running the programs, and we're just going and we're not really paying attention to what's going on and what we're doing and how we're behaving and the things that are put in place that affects us. So I was sitting outside, and I had a glass of water, and like the thought came to me how water has memory. And then it just, that thought triggered how most of us are walking around not paying attention. Our pineal gland is closed, and then the next thought was what is one of the main factors that are making our pineal gland close, and that's fluoride. And fluoride makes our pineal gland calcified, and it's in our water and it's in our toothpaste. And most of us are brushing our teeth every day, several times a day. Toothpaste with fluoride and it being in our water has always been hailed as something to prevent tooth decay, and it's supposed to help protect our teeth. Meanwhile, since fluoride is in 70% or 2/3 of the water supply in the United States, there are countries that are in the world, around the world, that do not have fluorinated water, and they do not have issues with tooth decay. So I went down a little rabbit hole of fluoride, and it was actually quite interesting what I came up with. For a while, I have not been using fluorinated toothpaste, just because of when I initially heard about how fluoride calcifies, it continues the calcification of the pineal gland, and then walking into spirituality and wanting to be a more enlightened, expansive being, I stopped using fluorinated toothpaste. But I didn't go through the research, and oh my goodness, the stuff that I found. I'm not trying to overwhelm you. I will provide the links on Facebook, and I'll try to get it on Instagram so you can do your own research. I'm so happy that this is something that I did, and I didn't necessarily do the research because it benefited me to take on this information, and I'm just been feeling better. But doing the research was like, oh my goodness, it's so exciting. So please stay with me. Where did fluoride come from? So fluoride is a byproduct of nuclear waste. Among other toxic chemicals, that's what fluoride is made of, sodium fluoride. And so I have watched this video with this author / journalist, which is also going to be provided in the link. His name is Christopher Bryson, and he wrote a book called The Fluoride Deception. And so in this book, he had done 10 years of study, and he was talking about how in the 1950s there were studies conducted that fluoride was harmful to the lungs and the lymph nodes that were done on experimental animals. Okay, and because of this research, it had been suppressed. Why was it suppressed, right? Because you guys heard of the Manhattan Project? No? Well, now you're going to know about it. I know you heard of it, but you didn't know it was called the Manhattan Project. It was the creation of the atomic bomb, and recently was a movie out talking about the creation. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm wondering if they were talking about fluoride and how. So fluoride was a byproduct of the atomic bomb. The reason why I go hand in hand is there's this doctor, Dr. Harold Carpenter Hodge, who had two hats, like most people that are not really concerned about the benefit of us, but the benefit of a financial gain. He not only was a doctor that was the leading scientist assuring the United States of the safety of fluoride in the water supply, he was also the senior toxicologist for the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project was the project that created the atomic bomb that was used in Hiroshima, Japan. Why is this important? The workers in the factories that was creating the atomic bomb was getting sick, right? And so thousands and thousands of workers were getting sick, and they were going to sue the company, right? Fluoride was needed to enhance the uranium in order for the atomic bomb to be impactful. We see that the atomic bomb was very impactful. So the doctor, Harold Carpenter Hodge, said, no, fluoride is amazing. And he actually went to court in front of judges and convinced them that fluoride is good for kids and children. So if fluoride is good for kids and children, then it can't be bad for the factory workers, right? And that's how they were able to get around and suppress the litigation of these thousands of lawsuits that was going to, they were going to be faced with. All right, so that's how they covered up that story. This is in the book, The Fluoride Deception, by Christopher Bison. So now that this doctor, who is a leading scientist promoting the safety of fluoride in the water, he was also the senior toxicologist in the Manhattan Project. That is definitely like two things that should not be happening at the same time, right? Like that. So they suppressed the litigation. And because the litigation was suppressed, now they got all this toxic waste that they're scrubbing out of these nuclear reactors that they are trucking to reservoirs and dumping it in our water supply. So now we're consuming a whole bunch of fluoride that has so many adverse effects on us. And then this guy who was known as the father of public relations, Edward Bernays, he was the one that led the propaganda campaign that said, initially it started with him. He had got a group of women that he hired. They were debutantes. He had said that he knew how to manipulate people's behavior with due to our irrational subconscious that drives human behavior. And he had launched a campaign, and I provide the links, and you can Google it if you want to, called the Torches of Freedom, to where women, it was taboo to smoke cigarettes in public. And so he had them to march in the Easter parade in New York City in 1929, holding and smoking cigarettes, saying cigarettes is good. And so 5 years later, women's cigarette consumption had increased, and this propaganda campaign was called Torches of Freedom, to empower women, right? Because if men smoke cigarettes, then it's a symbol of male power. So if women can smoke cigarettes, they have power too. When they had no increase in power, they just were now smoking cigarettes, and the Lucky Strike cigarette was what they were smoking, which happened to be Edward Bernays' favorite cigarette, and he's just helping the company gain more money. And so this man was the man that also introduced the propaganda campaign to say that, hey, fluoride is great. It's in your toothpaste, it's in the water, it's going to protect your teeth, and it's going to prevent decay. We get tooth decay from all of the processed foods, right? And the processed foods has in it these things that prevent certain saliva and certain microbiome in our mouths from breaking down food properly. And obviously not brushing your teeth, not having good dental hygiene. You can brush your teeth and have good dental hygiene and not use fluorinated toothpaste. There's natural toothpaste out there, or just use some peroxide and baking soda and brush your teeth. You don't have to have toothpaste with all the other additive chemicals. Sodium fluoride was used as rat poison for years, and it still is used in a lot of pesticides and a lot of toxic things. So it's going in our mouth and we're brushing our teeth. I'm not saying this information at all to scare you and to seem doom and gloom. I'm sharing this information so that you can be aware of its effects. The reason why I started this video is what I was saying, how I was drinking water and I was talking about how water has memory, and how a lot of us are walking around the world and we feel shut off. Like, you could be in a room full of people still feeling alone, still feeling disconnected. And a lot of that has to do with how what's happening in our technology is closing us off. We cannot stop all of the things that are happening to us and around us, like the chemtrails, like toxic stuff in our clothing, like the stuff that's in the air. But what we are in control of is our daily choices. And are we adding more of the same toxic things into our body, or we're doing something so that we can alleviate the majority of the stuff? And that's what we do have control over. Something else I was going to talk about is how the results of fluoride, the toxicity rates of the fluoride toxicity, that's how you say it, yeah. What are some effects of it? Headaches, muscle weakness, seizures, hippocampal damage, which is lowered IQ, memory loss, decreased cognitive function, anxiety and depression. I know I suffered from anxiety and depression. I suffered from multiple migraines a week, not even headaches, the migraines, which would knock the feet under me, and I'm just like done. A lot of confusion, abdominal pain, fatigue. I know a lot of us are suffering from these things on a daily basis. So if you can mitigate certain things in your life, after cutting those things out, how are you beginning to feel? Okay. What else was I talking about? The American Cancer Society states that high levels of exposure of fluoride over a long period of time, and we're talking about drinking water for the rest of our life, and we're talking about brushing our teeth twice a daily, but more if you've eaten curry or certain things. They result in joint stiffness and pain, weak bones, and fractures in adults. Now, how many people do you know suffer from these side effects, right? I know we go to the doctor, and the doctors, they look at acute things, right? They're not looking at the deeper, whole, total body picture, right? They are saying, oh, you have a headache, then it must be this thing. They treat symptoms. They're not treating root cause issues and really curing problems. That's why the pharmaceutical business is such a huge business, because they are treating symptoms, and you continue to go back and you continue to go back, because those symptoms will continue prevailing because the root problem is not really addressed. And the root problem ultimately is our total body disconnection from self and spirit, and because of the consumption of all the toxic chemicals that are surrounding us, the ones that we have control over and the ones that we do not have control over. Sodium fluoride is in the toothpaste. This is one thing that you can consciously make a choice to no longer use fluorinated toothpaste. That's just one small choice that you can make in your life to help you, along with many other things that you can do to help you. This is one that I'm telling you about that you should be very aware of. Sodium fluoride is also used to make glass and metal. It's used in pharmaceuticals, of course, and cosmetics. It's in our soils, right? It's in some of our soil, and no wonder, because they're spraying all of our fruits and vegetables with all these pesticides that go into the earth. And if it's going into the earth, just like a baby in the mom's stomach, whatever is going into the mom's mouth is going into the baby's mouth. So whatever going into the soil is going into our fruits and our vegetables, and that's going into our body, and our body is processing that, right? Like, all of this stuff matters, friends. Like, it matters so very much. Fluorotoxicity can be prevented simply by, or lowered simply by not using fluoride, right? Using filters when you're drinking your water, or some people I know, like I have a water filtration system in my house. Some people have water filtration systems in their house by drinking the best waters. My son, 10 years old, educated me on something I had no idea about the other day, and I looked it up, that there's different type of meanings for bottled water. Did you guys know that? That black tops on bottled water is for alkaline water, but if you have a healthy diet, you will have an alkaline body on its own, and you wouldn't need to drink alkaline water. The blue water tops is for natural spring water, and the white tops and bottled water is for water that has been processed and it has additives. I went to Walmart and I took pictures of their water to see. Now, in the United States, those colors make sense. In Mexico, that's not exactly the case. When they have imported water, yes, but their spring water has like a pink orange top. And I haven't looked into what Mexico's bottled water means, but pay attention to that when you go to the store. I know in Whole Foods, when I visit the States, they have a water machine, which is actually really cool because you can get reverse osmosis water and just regular filtered water. If you buy the 5 gallon and the 2.5 gallon water, it's more cost effective if you get that and then go back and refill it. I think it was like 16 to 23 cents per gallon to refill the water, but initially it's like $23 to $25 to buy the gallon itself. And then you can go on Amazon or whatever store and get yourself a water pump, and you're not buying cases of water. The best kind of water is hydrogen gas water, and you can go online and get one of those hydrogen gas water containers that you can put filtered water in, and then it can make your water into hydrogen gas. What else was I going to say? So water filters. You can get like the Brita water filter with the carbon filter, or you can get a reverse osmosis water filter, or you can go on Pinterest, YouTube, Google, whatever, and look up DIY ways to filter out the fluoride in your water using sand filters with pebbles, and that reduces it. The most important thing about buying these water filters, though, is that you refill in the cartridge. So if you think, and this is annoying to me when people always associate money with something, is that this is your health and you are priceless. And if you didn't know that, let me remind you that no matter what anything costs, if it's for your benefit, this is for the longevity of your life. So do not look at something and equate a price, because aren't you worth it? If you didn't know, I'm here to tell you, you're totally worth it. So it doesn't matter if you have to buy a new cartridge every 3 months or every 6 months or however frequently you have to do it. It's just the cost. The price is the price. Manifest a beautiful life for yourself, clear your shadows, heal your wounds, and then all the abundance will come to you, and you won't be sitting there worrying about how much a cartridge will cost for a water filter. This stuff is really important, friends. Every time I get up here, it's because I think of you, I think of myself, I love myself so much, which in turn makes me see the beautiful beings that you are, and I love you too. And I want the best for you, even though right now you may not even know that you want the best for yourself. I come up here to inspire, to empower, to share my love with you, to share whatever information I have to help with your own enlightenment and with your own journey to make your life a better life. If you are pregnant, drinking fluorinated water and brushing your teeth with fluorinated toothpaste is also affecting the brain development of your embryo and your fetus. This is how the government is just so smart, because they're like, I don't want to say kill two birds with one stone, but they're doing two things at once. They're getting you and your unborn baby before the baby even comes out, right? They're already beginning that calcification project, your process, and you don't even know it. And then soon as a baby is born, then they injecting the baby with all these vaccines, right? And it hampers, you have no idea what's affecting your unborn child, because instantly they're getting these vaccinations, and who knows what it's doing to the chemical makeup of the body. Something I thought was also interesting is that fluoride can produce alterations in mitochondrial DNA, and this has many implications on our mental health. Everybody's walking around sad and depressed and with anxiety and stressed out and all these type of things, but no one's talking about the fluoride in the water, right? They'll say it's genetics. They'll say your diet sucks, but you'll go to a hospital and be sick, and they have vending machines full of soda, and vending machines full of bioengineered processed foods, but you're in the hospital and you're sick. You would think that if you're in a hospital and you're sick and you're seeing a doctor, that they had, a fruit basket or fruit stands or natural food options for you to choose from, and not Coke and Pepsi products and sugary snacks and Doritos and chocolate bars and stuff like that. Like, being aware of the contradictions and the hypocrisy of what's around us is how we begin to wake up and pay attention to what the Matrix is really doing and what the Matrix is about, and the priority of the Matrix. And one of the things that just excited me today was learning so much about fluoride. Oh my goodness. I have some papers in front of me, and I'm like making sure I covered everything. Oh, PFAS is something I learned about. I'm going to try and say this word. Is per polyfluoroalkyl substances. These have been used since the 1950s, right? And this is linked to cancer, reproductive issues, thyroid issues, neurological effects, immune system suppression. And the federal government has issued only voluntary guidance, go figure, on PFAS for 70 parts per trillion of toxins being put inside of bottled water. 70 parts per trillion, when there are studies out there that say, 5 parts per trillion is good enough. But the federal government was like, voluntarily 70 parts per trillion is okay. You're not going to find on any government website something to contradict that fluoride is not the best for you, because that'll make the whole system crumble, because they've been doing this for so long, they can't possibly tell the truth. That would be crazy. But what can we do? Be conscious, make choices that are beneficial to our own well-being. When we are walking around the full expression of ourselves, and we are in the best place we can be with our technology, and we're fueling it with the right things, then we're going to do the same thing for our children. We're going to do the same thing for our family. We're going to be better individuals for the people around us, around the world. I'm telling you, friends, like, this information isn't to be doom and gloom. It's just to excite you to want to be a better version of yourself. Like, don't you want to be a better version of yourself? Don't you just want to be feeling awesome every day and happy and just looking at the world through a different lens? I heard a beautiful poem today when I was doing my TM meditation, and I cannot recite it verbatim, but it basically was saying, broken people, or people that are broken, can only look and view the world as being broken. But people that are fixed can see the beauty of the world. Even with everything that's not so great going on, with wars and stuff going on, and famine, and just violence, when you are fixed and healed within, and you're just really loving on you, you're going to see the brightness and the greatness of what the world provides. And it just makes me so happy and joyful. Like, I can cry because I can see how joyful it is. Like, when I get information now, I'm not like overwhelmed, like, oh my God, like I don't have no control, and be helpless and hopeless and pessimistic. Oh, that's not me. That's not me. I'm like, how can I fix that? How can I make better choices? How can I maneuver this problem and be beneficial? What do? I was interested in the insight that I received. I did some research, and then I was so happy to come up here and want to talk about it. I got this insight like 6 hours ago, but I had to take care of my own personal needs and meditation and eating. Plus, I was researching, but I wanted to just jump up here and say, hey, look at this information. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to make your next choice when you're brushing your teeth? Are you going to go and continue with the fluoride and be like, I don't care, and just have your life be however it is that you may not be happy with? Or you're going to be like, no, this is a change that I'm going to make, and what else can I do to make my life a better way? That's the whole point, is what choices are we consciously making, consciously, friends, to make us better beings. Please make the best choices to make you the best version of you, okay? Because the best version of you is in there. It's underneath that helplessness and hopelessness. That bright, shining, loving being inside of you is waiting to just jump out and just waiting to just be ultimately happy, like every day, right? Just every day. Anyway, that's all I have for now. I hope you beautiful friends have a wonderful, marvelous, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious kind of day. I love you. I love you. I love you so very much. And I will talk with you again soon, friends. Bye.